Getting your first employee can be scary. I know you're probably thinking about what about workers' comp, taxes? How do I do this? How do I get started? And it may be a little scary. I want to share my journey on how I got my first employee. So hopefully it could ease some of your discomfort and give you some guidance as well. So when I first started my business, I started a cleaning company. I did have a business partner originally who helped me get clients. It was my mother. So it was me and my mom. We were a cleaning team and we started a cleaning company. Things didn't go so well. We ended up splitting ways. And I had all these houses that needed to be cleaned and I needed a cleaning partner. So I went on Indeed, posted a job. I interviewed somebody, a few people right outside of my house. Now, at this time of my life, I lived in an apartment that was connected to a storage unit. So it kind of looked like a business already because there was a business parking lot. It was a business. It was a little, I would say I had a little bit of a heads up versus like having an actual interview with somebody in a residential neighborhood versus the location and scenery that I had. So it was more commercialized. If you were meeting somebody at Toga or Starbucks, that works just as well too. And that's just for your first worker. It's because you don't have systems and stuff in place. That will come later on as you get more hiring needs and as you get bigger and all that other stuff. But when you get your very first one, especially for how I did, I didn't have those systems in place. I developed them later on. So from there, she was comfortable. I just talked about it with her. I said, hey, this is my first worker. I'm diving into it. I was pretty honest. And I was trying to set the expectation not only for her, but to make sure it was a good fit for both of us. So she seemed amazing. By the way, I'm still friends with her today. She was amazing. I love her to death. Her name's Heather. Heather, I love you. So from there, we went into working. She was comfortable with the 1099 and I just had her fill out some onboarding paperwork and we got started. She went with me along to the houses and I taught her how to do it. Actually, I take that back. I hired 2 people for that one role and I put them into a house that we were doing together. And I said, okay, I'm going to, and I'm not saying that this is like, it's just the way I did it. So I put them both into a bathroom and I put a timer on and I said, okay, like I'm going to give you guys 30 minutes and I want to see what you can do in that time frame. Hopefully you can knock it out. Normally it wouldn't take us longer than XYZ. So put on a timer, had these 2 women inside of one of our reoccurring houses. It wasn't a deep clean and they were cleaning. And one of them was like sweating and panting and and the other one was kicking ass. And she was the one who obviously stayed. I didn't hire the other one. I hired this one. So that's how I did my first work, getting my first worker. From there, I just kept her on with all of our reoccurring houses and she was amazing. So after that, I had already gotten her familiar with houses. I taught her, I trained her. She was on her A game. She already had cleaning experience as well too. So she was easily picking up some of these things that we were doing. She was more commercial and it wasn't necessarily at the detail we needed. So it was just minor tweaks, but she got to that level pretty fast. And then I was ready to hire my next worker. So when I was hiring our next worker, what I did is I was essentially trying to replace me now. So I had already gotten a partner and now is replacing me from that route, that cleaning route. And when I was doing that, I got her on board. I trained her. I did it with her. I went through each house. It was just us 3. And when I trained her and she was comfortable, then I wasn't there and I would just show up randomly. And I had Heather check her work after. So that's typically how I got those 2. When I was ready to get my third worker, I had already gotten workers' comp. I had already gotten payroll, taxes, and all that good stuff taken care of. But at that time when I had gotten those first 2 workers, I didn't have workers' comp. I didn't have any of that off the top. So it's okay if you're just starting out and you're kind of figuring it out along the way. I would say if you're getting started with workers' comp, I would say there's a few crucial things that you need to know, especially with certain types of workers' comp policies. So there's some that are monthly fees every single month, regardless if you have anybody on payroll. And there's some that's only based off the payroll that you have. I recommend only going for a company or a plan that is off the payroll, because that's how I've seen a lot of companies go under when it comes to working with employees, is having the month-to-month one, because then if you don't payroll, you're still paying, which is stupid. I don't know why people even offer that or do it, but go with the one for payroll. So if you don't have any work one month, for instance, then you wouldn't be paying any workers' comp. So therefore, you're never negative as long as you're pricing right with your customers. And that was something that I adjusted and I learned along the way. There was some that I had to readjust my pricing, and it was a learning lesson. And anytime you're starting a business, there's going to be so many learning lessons. Learn some of those lessons and avoid some of the pitfalls that come along with it. But you're going to have your own. And I hope that my experience can help you, motivate you, show you that it's possible. I know one thing I hear all the time with employees and contractors is employees isn't profitable. And it is. You just got to make sure you know your pricing. You got to be priced profitably. And anytime we needed to have a job that was more than 3 workers, because I was ambitious when it came to taking on jobs and I was taking them all. We had really big commercial jobs that came in as well too. And they needed like 18 people. And I didn't have 18 people. And I was like, I can do this thing. What I did is I partnered with a temp agency. I just signed up for a temp agency. And the temp agency had cleaners for a specific rate. And you had 2 different rates. It was one if they had less experience or more experience. But it included workers' comp into that hourly rate, which I loved. And it included like their taxes and everything, all within that one specific rate that I was paying, which I think was like $17 an hour. So anytime that I accepted those jobs for lots of workers, I just made sure that I had a higher hourly rate when I was bidding on those. So I anticipated the extra team and I was able to do it, knock it out and make thousands and thousands of dollars in profit. I remember doing a college job, Merced College, and that quote was around 70 grand. We did some other huge retirement communities. We did high schools. We were just killing it. And I loved it. I love working with employees. You have the team, the culture, the training, your shirts, like all the logos with everything. It was awesome. I loved it. So hopefully this video was helpful. Again, I know I'm starting to repeat myself, but I'm going to have another video right here that kind of explains how I transitioned from employees to contractors. Because later on, years later, as time went on, I decided that I wanted to try something different. And I'm going to show you in this video how I did it.